Welcome back to Joyful Climate News, Volume 5.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Also known as the Alma and Stephanie Show. Stephanie, how about you kick us off and talk a little bit about something joyful?
I went on vacation. I did a lot of thrifting, which we're going to talk about later in the show. I'm wearing an upcycled shirt, which we're also going to talk about later in the show. I love thrifting and upcycling.
It's a great coincidence because our story that we're featuring is story 5 with Amy, who talks about the joy of upcycling.
What about you? What have you been up to? What's joyful with you?
So one of the most joyful things that's happened in the recent period is I got to go to Busan, Korea. And we went there. I actually went with one of our designers from Climate Hope and Dancing for Climate Justice, Pia Cortez, and wanted to watch the BTS concert. So we were lucky and we didn't get tickets to the concert, but we got to watch it on the beach at the famous Haeundae Beach in Busan. The thing I've been thinking about lately is my connection to the ocean, which we're also going to talk about today a bunch, and the impact of plastics in the oceans.
That sounds so lovely. And you know me, I love talking about the ocean. Happy to talk about it.
Yes, one of your greatest joys.
And keeping plastic out of it, so I'm here for it.
So let's go and talk about joyful climate news. Stephanie, what should we talk about?
Well, COP27 just wrapped up, so that's kind of a big deal in the climate world. It happens every year, and it's a time and a place for global leaders and activists and nonprofits to come together and discuss the climate crisis and work on solutions and work on pledges and promises.
So a lot of what's been happening in these later COPs, so now we're in 2022 and we have COP27, is how are we going to actually meet the commitments that the countries have made in the Paris Agreement, and how do we actually keep global warming within 1.5 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial levels. That's the amount that's actually going to save entire communities and entire countries.
Tell us more about loss and damages, because that's a huge deal.
It's a concept where the countries that are actually impacted the most are the ones that haven't polluted much. There's many examples of emitting very, very little greenhouse gases, but actually facing the impacts of floods and droughts and superstorms. And the question is, in order to adapt to climate change, who should really pay for that? Because if a country has not actually emitted the greenhouse gases that cause the problem, shouldn't the people who actually cause the problem be paying for the solutions?
What I'm really excited for that came out of COP27 is my man, Al Gore, released his newest project, which is called Climate Trace. And they use satellites and data. I love data. Satellites are so cool. So it can really pinpoint where on Earth these emissions are coming from.
I have to give a shout out here to Wired, because this is how we learned about Climate Trace, and we learned about the loss and damages work that was being done. They wrote an article called 5 Good Things from COP27.
Something hopeful, yes, to come out recently. Alma showed it to me. It's BTS collaboration with Galaxy. It's so inspirational. BTS and cleaning up ocean plastic, and it's just like such a beautiful message.
I've actually been talking quite a bit about what is important about ending the global climate crisis.
One of my other favorite people, Boyan Slate, who founded the Ocean Cleanup. They're doing amazing work. If you haven't heard of the Ocean Cleanup, please follow their newsletter. Please follow their socials. They literally have built huge machines, not as big as you'd think though, to clean up the giant Pacific garbage patch and to now clean up the rivers that are the largest polluters in the world. And it was started when Boyan Slate was 17 years old. And he started it as a science fair project.
I got their latest newsletter and I was just floored. I was so inspired. They have one of their interceptors in Los Angeles County, and world famous award-winning surfer Kelly Slater visited their interceptor in Los Angeles County. I don't know if you know this, but Surfers and Surfrider Foundation is actually a big proponent of of cleaning up oceans. I remember last holiday season, we were doing plastic-free gift bags. And so we actually had done some research, and that's actually created our Dancing for Climate Justice gift giving guide. You can get certain soap bars that you can then use actually for your dishes. There's a podcast that Climate Reality Project Bay Area chapter has started, and one of them is Art as Climate Activism. And they interview a woman on it, Mira Musenk, and she has a website called Fafafoom. And Fafafoom is a beautiful website because she has done a bunch of upcycling of clothes and textiles to make beautiful art.
Shout out to the name Fafafoom. Talk about a joyful name. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Go out there, end racism, end the climate crisis. Take action. Do it with joy and do it with people you love. All right, take care. See you next time.